Hello, everyone. This is Dianne Kaler, Director of Nutrition Therapy Institute, back with another edition of our NTI PodTalk. So today is kind of a special edition because, and I'm calling it the Nutrition Therapist Sunnyside Chat, because my two guests today are Kristen Burkett and Kelly Hatke, who are both instructors at NTI. And they are also both repeat guests on our NTI PodTalk. So I wanted to call it something else. And I was kind of looking around, trying to figure out, well, what could I call it? And looking out my window, I had a really cool image of the sun shining through some trees outside my office. And so I just said, oh, I'm going to call it the Sunnyside Chat. So it's a very arbitrary name. But anyways, so I do want to welcome Kristen and Kelly to this chat, and I'll explain what we're going to talk about here in a moment. But welcome, Kristen and Kelly. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for asking us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a disclaimer to before starting here, because we're going to be talking about some scope of practice things for nutrition therapists, and all three of us, Kelly, Kristen, and myself, are all nutrition therapists. So, and I just want to make it clear that the upcoming discussion is not intended to provide medical nutrition therapy, nor in any way imply that nutrition therapists who graduate from NTI are qualified to provide medical nutrition therapy. So our scope of practice is the delivery of therapeutic nutrition guidance to our clients, which helps support their natural biology to achieve optimal function in whatever wellness path they are on. So that is kind of the introduction to, or the disclaimer to what we're going to talk about today. And so I wanted to have this discussion with Kelly and Kristen because I think that many people, if not most people, don't have a contextual understanding of the impacts and influences of their diet on current and future health outcomes. They don't have this connection that what you eat matters and food matters, and it has real influence on what's going on in your current health and your future health. And then there are those that do make the connection, but they don't have the knowledge to make useful changes. And they're left sort of flailing in the wind, having to make decisions on their own. And those decisions are based on slick marketing campaigns, food packaging claims, and quick advice or quick fix advice that comes from advertisements on, like the cover of grocery store magazines, and potentially mass emails that are sent by parties that have a vested interest in capturing that person's attention and more likely their food dollars. And so where this came up is that I have been kind of working with my mom and helping my mom with some health issues that she's had. And, she has sort of no connection about food and how it's impacting her health. But in helping her, I've been going to the grocery store with her and observing how she's making her food choices. And, she really relies on the food packaging, what's on the food package, and those are all, of course, as we know, marketing claims that don't really have anything to do with the nutritional value of the food. And then as I'm walking with her to check out in these very conventional mainstream grocery stores, all of these grocery store magazines have these huge covers that talk about, quick fix for some sort of condition. And there's a whole series of them, quick fix for this, quick fix for that. And it just really brought it home to me that people don't have an understanding of the value of nutrition therapy and don't have an understanding of the fact that there are qualified practitioners out there who can help them make better decisions about their food choices. And then there's also a lack of understanding that nutrition therapy is a career path, and someone can train to become a nutrition therapist, to become, to get the credentials and the legitimacy in order to be able to practice. And so those are kind of the basic foundation of what I wanted to talk about, these two issues that I sort of came home to me as I'm trying to help with my mother. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to be asking some questions, and the three of us are just going to have a conversation about our answers to these questions. So kind of the first issue that I want to address is basically, what does a nutrition therapist do? So I know that the two of you work in different settings. So in addition to being instructors here at NTI, you both have your own practices and you both work in different settings. So if you could talk about the type of setting that you work in and the type of services that you provide, I think that would be really helpful. And then also if you work with within a particular niche area of practice. So, Kristen, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, I wouldn't say I have a specific niche. I would say, like, in terms of how I advertise myself, it's primarily digestive health and hormonal balance, looking for natural ways to support both of those. I work with a wide variety of clients and a wide variety of ages, even though I probably target more kind of middle-aged women going into perimenopause, menopause years. Since probably 90% of my business has always been based on word of mouth, it really has developed into whatever person happens to get referred to me. So I work with kids, I work with adults, I work with everything in between. So I don't really have a niche, but I really do enjoy working with all different types of individuals and finding what the imbalance is that might be causing their symptoms. I'd love to say that I have people come to me because they just want to improve their diet, but
yeah,
it really doesn't happen very often. I mean, I think maybe once that happened. Usually, people have a pain point of some sort that brings them to finding somebody that can help them resolve their issue. So that's kind of how it evolved.
And so you have a private practice.
I do, So I'm a private practice, solo practitioner. I actually work out of my home. I do most of for the last 2 years, everything's been on Zoom. So I really am not seeing people one-on-one anymore other than over Zoom calls, but it's been a very effective practice and it's working out. When I started school, I had kids at home and I had a commitment to staying home to be around my kids and being able to be a part of their lives. So my practice has been built around that and around those hours, and working from home has allowed me to do that.
Great, good. Kelly, how about you?
My niche is probably, there's a couple areas, autoimmune health and supporting that. And that is just an incredibly rapid growing field. And then nutrition for hormone balance as well, because that is often interconnected with autoimmune and so many other conditions that we're seeing.
And you work with a medical practitioner, is that correct?
That's correct. So I have my own practice, but it's very, very small because I am full-time working for a functional medicine doctor, which has been really, it's really rewarding. It's an opportunity for me to provide complementary care to what protocols that the doctor is using on his patients. And as we three know, you can take medications and you can take supplements, but if your diet is not what it needs to be, you're not going to achieve that optimal outcome.
Yeah. As the old saying goes, you can't supplement your way out of a crappy diet. So yeah. So can you talk about how your training helped give you the confidence to work with your clients, both in your setting as a private practitioner, as well as working with a medical doctor? Kristen?
Yeah. I rave about this all the time because I firmly believe that the science background that NTI gives us is so solid, that we really gain an understanding of the processes in the body and how everything is interconnected. And to me, that's the foundation for everything. Once you understand the connectedness and that, the cardiovascular system isn't different from your blood sugar and everything works together, you can figure out just about anything in terms of imbalances because it all works together and supports each other. So I really have appreciated the science knowledge to be able to understand those processes. I think in a lot of ways, it's easy to go and Google search. You can Dr. Google anything.
That's right.
But if you really want to be able to provide credible science-backed information, you have to have that solid foundation. And this is one of the few programs when I was researching programs that offered that. And to me, that's everything. I don't think clients always want to know the science behind everything, but it gives us what we need to open the doors for them.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Kelly, how about you?
I agree with Kristen completely. And I think one of the key things to piggyback onto what she said is that they don't have to understand everything about our recommendations, but we do. And it's important for us to be able to explain to them the why behind why we're making that recommendation. And second, I feel like one of the key things that it taught me was the ability to discern what is credible information, what is not credible. Where is the research study from? Who funded the research study? Where are you getting all of that? There's so many questions that have to follow up what somebody sees or what somebody hears, or even what we consider when we're going to make a recommendation. And I think NTI was invaluable in helping me use that tool on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we definitely continue to focus on providing that science-based information. We're always updating courses, and that is something that is a priority, is making sure that whatever we're saying has, research evidence behind it. So, I appreciate that you recognize that and continue to do that as instructors here at NTI. So, I want to focus in and see if you can share something from your work with clients that really shines a light on their recognition of the value of the guidance that you're providing. Something that you made a recommendation that they never would have considered making on their own, and something that has really made a big difference in their lives. And it can be anecdotal or it can be general. For me, I think when people start to recognize the major impact that blood sugar dysregulation has on all aspects of their health, that's like a major aha moment to them. But can either of you share something? And it could be something, anecdotal from a single client. Kristen?
It's funny that you said blood sugar, because that's the first thing that comes to my mind, because I feel like it innervates every single thing that we touch and work on.
Yeah.
And, somebody can be eating oatmeal because it's heart healthy on the box.
That's
and think they're having the best breakfast in the world. And then, we do some individual work and we find that oatmeal is spiking their blood sugar more than any candy they ever ate. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, really thought they were doing something good for themselves. I think people have, they're really trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But the marketing just doesn't support it from the health perspective. They're trying to sell food. But so the blood sugar, I think the other thing that's really enlightening to people that I see all the time is, and because it's so frequent, is the connection between cholesterol and inflammation. Because, high cholesterol isn't a result of a lack of statin in the body, right? I mean,
right.
Our bodies are pretty smart. And so when people find out or figure out that, oh, my body's actually making this stuff to try to fix something in my body. It's not just over responding, and that we can find the dietary reasons for the most part, as to why that might be happening, or the other, whatever inflammation may be contributing to that. But finding that is really eye-opening, and it's really nice to be able to help people make those connections and know, it's not necessarily a lack of medication just because we're old. We don't all have to,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Kelly, how about you?
Well, Kristen, like that was the one I was thinking. It's like on a daily basis, having that conversation. I think the other thing that's really critical is just the importance of why is eating healthy a necessity? And when you explain to them that the foods we eat break down, they're made up of nutrients, and those nutrients give our bodies instructions on how to function. And so you can feed it the right instructions, you can feed it the wrong instructions, but a lot of the foods in our food supply are just empty. They're not good, they're not bad, but they're in this middle ground, and they provide no instruction whatsoever. And they kind of feel like, well, it's not really bad for me, but what value is it offering you? And so to be able to explain to them, because when you ask them, how does your body function? And you wait for that response, and there's like a moment of pause with them. And then when you actually help them make that connection, I think that's a big kind of an aha moment for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I like seeing those lights go on for them. Yeah. So I want to move a little bit to issue number 2, and that is that, being a nutrition therapist is a career choice. It is an option for people. And in order to do it, getting trained is a necessity. So, there's all kinds of people out there giving nutrition advice. Podcasts, as I said, the front cover of magazines, like all these different people. And I think that people are really inundated with nutrition advice these days. The problem is that many of the people who are giving the advice, and this goes back a little bit, Kelly, what you were talking about, having discernment in being able to identify the quality and credentials of the information, the people and the information that they're giving. So, many of these people don't have the science-based education that we provide here at NTI. And so do you notice people giving advice that you find to be unhelpful, inappropriate, and downright wrong? I mean, I know I do. I find myself, yelling at my phone if I'm listening to a podcast, or, just like, I cannot believe they're saying this, I find myself doing that all the time. Do you guys see that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's detracting from the goal of people actually finding, health and finding value in their food's contribution to their health. So, as we've talked about here at NTI, we really focus on giving that science-based foundation so that our students are well informed, have the knowledge, have the skills to go out and be that practitioner who can come from a place of credibility and legitimacy. So in your work with students here at NTI, I know when I teach, I really like to see when it finally clicks for my students. I'm talking about a difficult concept, something that's like, really thought-provoking. And I like to see when they turn on and go, oh, that makes so much sense. I never understood that before. That makes me feel good about being their instructor, but also as the director of the school, makes me feel really good about the the overall delivery of information that we're giving to our students, and therefore our graduates will go out and be those credible practitioners that I'm going to be very proud of. So how do you guys, how do you guys work with that in your teaching here at NTI?
One thing you said about the poor nutrition advice that's out there everywhere, and I agree with it 100%. I see it every day. I kind of want to say, I feel like it comes from a couple of different places. And one is people taking individual studies and making broad claims based on them, or maybe not even really understanding what's in the study fully and not interpreting it properly. And then also just coming from a place of dogma where people really believe in a particular type of diet or type of something and want to believe that it's right for everybody. And I think that's where we get into trouble generally publicly with health information, with nutrition information, is because, number one, as Kelly said, learning to understand studies and what you can truly interpret from a study takes a skill, and NTI does prepare us to be able to do that. But the dogma is the other point, and that's the other part of NTI, is because we learn to understand the biochemistry and the physiology and how the processes of the body, we can take all of these different individual diets, and there's new ones that come out every day, and some have great value, but we can understand how to apply those properly to the individual. And I think that's where NTI stands out and shines, is giving their students the preparation to be able to look at people as individuals and know and understand what's the right thing for them and what's going on, versus just saying, yes, I'm into this diet and I think everybody should apply this and everybody will be healthy and have, great health markers from it. It doesn't work like that. We're all unique and different, and what's best for you might not be best for me. And being able to do that, I think, is what's really important. And that's where I see, kind of along that concept, is where I see the ahas in my students. And one thing I really love to see is, so the class that I teach really is the first course that a lot of our students have that helps them actually think about being practitioners versus just learning, not just, but learning the science data. It's like the application of it and how to practice. And so, we have a lot of people out there now that are using different apps and things to try to better their health. Like they're using MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or those kinds of things and trying to track, what they're taking in. And is this a healthy diet for me? And maybe even messing with their macronutrients and changing their protein amounts. And that's part of, what we do in my course, is learning how to use that data. But what really makes the difference as a nutrition therapy master is being able to take that data with the patterns that the individual has in their day-to-day life and their day-to-day eating habits and why they eat and why they choose the foods they do, and merging all of that into their analysis to be able to say, okay, I see that you're choosing these foods because of these reasons, and look at, we're low in these nutrients and you've got these symptoms, and look at how all of this comes together. And they're just like, oh,
yeah,
that is so different than just looking at the data that that anybody can really spit out from any of the nutrition trackers out there. But this is where, having somebody that's trained this way with this kind of information can really be helpful to somebody, because it allows people to go much deeper than just the data. And that's where I think, nutrition therapists really shine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kelly, how about you? Anything to add to that?
I think one of the things that I really enjoy about teaching is I'm very upfront when we start that this is not me speaking for, the entire class. This is going to be an interactive experience. And so when we'll be talking about the material, I'll say, give me an example, or what would you recommend? And, they'll throw out what they want to recommend. And then my follow-up question is always, why that recommendation? And then for them to either get hung up and then walk through that process, or to be able to fulfill the rest of the answer with, well, I know exactly why, and to be able to speak that, I think is gives a real sense of empowerment to them. And then to also be able to ask the next question, well, that's great, but what if they also have this? Because what we all three know is that you almost never work with somebody who has one thing going on. And you're so focused as a student on learning what's right for diabetes or what's right for this, but what happens if they also have Hashimoto's, and what happens if they also, and so it's just a moment of them being able to think bigger picture, but to be able to maximize their recommendation to care for all of those concerns.
Yeah, it goes back to the connections, right? Like we talked about in the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I always say that, you know, at NTI, we don't teach a cookie cutter approach. We teach how to tailor your suggestions, your recommendations, your menu plans, et cetera, to the individual needs of your client based on their, you know, their reasons for food choices, their biochemical individuality, their health conditions, their wellness goals, all those kinds of things. So, yeah. All right. So for those who may not already be students, but are considering being students, I just wanted to talk about kind of some of the questions that may come up. So our program here at NTI is 18 months long if you're a full-time student, but people can tailor their progress to go faster or slower depending on their, you know, responsibilities that they have in their life and work and family and job and those kinds of things. So how did you guys fit going to school into your lives, and did you take the prescribed amount of time to finish your program, or did you go faster or slower? I know, Kristen, you mentioned something already about being able to go to school while your children were in school. So how did that work for you?
I was a slow poke. I took one class at a time, and it took me twice as long to finish as what the program could have taken. But I did what I could, and I just kept plugging along and kept adding to my skills and knowledge, and it all worked out. So
yeah. Kelly, how about you?
I finished in the recommended time. I took 2 classes at a time, and then I just went over a little bit when I did my independent study.
Yeah. So, you know, I think people who do want to, you know, make a career change, go to school, get their certification to be a nutrition therapist master, knowing how long that process can take, and you know, that they can fit that into their lives can be a good weight off their shoulders potentially in making it that decision. So, and then also, what kind of revenue streams do you see other practitioners using? You know, you guys are both have your practices, working with clients. You're also instructors here. What other kinds of revenue streams do you see other practitioners using?
There's so many opportunities now, and I really feel like, depending on what resonates with you and what you're comfortable with, you can make work anymore. I mean, there's group programs, there's online courses you can build, there's recipe packets that you can make and sell, there's group food prep demos that you can do, supplement sales. I mean, there's affiliate programs for products and clean products that you believe in that can be additional revenue streams. There's so many. In my particular practice, I've done kind of a myriad of several of those. Besides my regular practice, I have partnered with another nutrition therapy professional, and we've built a separate website and do programs, online programs there for both practitioners and for individuals. So we've got that. And yeah, so I think you can do lots of different things. For people that are social media savvy, I think it's like this huge open opportunity. That is not my strength, and so I don't tend to go that direction much, but I think there's a lot of opportunity there as well.
Yeah, Kelly, do you have any input?
I mean, I agree with what Kristen said. There's so many opportunities right now, and as the exciting part about this is there are a lot of healthcare providers that are in the functional medicine world that are really embracing the value of alternative prescription medications and nutrition therapy. And so finding that is someone to partner with is becoming easier. They're just more plentiful than they were, just a few years ago even.
Yeah. Well, and, I'm so glad to have you on here because you are one of those practitioners who is working for a licensed medical practitioner that is open and wanting to provide that nutrition guidance for his patients. We just had a couple of days ago, the wife of a functional medicine doctor, a newly opened office for functional medicine doctor. His wife stopped in because she was walking by and she saw her sign and she's like, "Oh, what's that all about?" She came in and first of all, she said, "I had no idea that there was a school for this." And then she said, "My husband talks about nutrition all the time, but he doesn't have time to spend with his patients, the dedicated time to spend with his patients talking about nutrition." And I said, "Aha, I have the perfect answer for you. Our graduates are skilled and highly knowledgeable and are a great pool to choose from to hire when he's ready to do that." So hopefully he will be reaching out to do that. But I think this is a new path for graduates. We get, monthly, I would say we get people in the field of holistic health, whether they be medical practitioners or supplement companies or, natural foods, grocery stores, contacting us saying, "We'd like to hire a nutrition therapist, a well-trained, highly credentialed nutrition therapist. How can we post a job opening, for your graduates?" And so we do post those for our graduates. But I just think that the field is growing, the demand is growing, and there are many more opportunities, probably more than we don't even know how to describe what they are right now, because it's there is so many things that you can do, and it's based on your own creativity, your own initiative, all those kinds of things. Without speaking for yourself, people do ask, what are the potential salary ranges for trained nutrition therapists? And one thing that I always tell them is that, just for on a private practitioner level, the hourly fee could be anywhere from probably $75 to $150 based on your how long you are out of school, how much advanced training you have, how much experience you have, etc. Would you guys agree with that, or am I way off on that estimation?
That's totally within the realm of the different practitioners I'm in contact with, which is quite a few. I do. That's very reasonable range. I always do recommend that if you're going to do one-on-one practice, that you find some other things to dabble in around it, because there's only so many hours in a day, and what we do takes time behind the scenes as well. So to think that you can see 8 people a day, 5 days a week is really not realistic if you're going to really keep up with it. And maybe some people find ways to do that, depending on what type of work you're doing, I suppose can play into that. But I know I wouldn't be able to do that in my practice. So, and I would get burnt out too. I mean, it can be very demanding working with people at the level that we do. So I do think it's good to have some other things that you you offer, that you've got your hands in, that's getting the word out in different ways. The more we can get the word out about what we do to more people, I think the better off it is. And it can be a lot of fun just to add something like that to the everyday one-on-one work that we do.
Yeah. Kelly, what kind of input do you have on that?
I again agree. The thing about having a practice of your own that you have to just be really aware of is the amount of time it takes behind the scenes, and the amount of time that you're going to invest that is not related to nutrition, which is usually why we end up here, because we all have a love for that study. So you have to be prepared that when you have your own business, it all falls on you. In other words, if the computer doesn't work, it falls on you. If there's research that needs to be done, it falls on you. And so you have to kind of budget that into what you're requiring, or what you're asking someone to pay. And that's one of the things I like about working for a physician, because I do on a daily basis see 7-8 patients of his a day. And then there's follow-up work behind the scenes, but there's not some of that other stuff that you necessarily have to do so having both is a nice fit for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have talked about a lot of things, and I think it's been a great conversation. I don't want to keep either of you any more than we need to, though. So do you guys have any closing thoughts that you want to mention? Anything that I didn't bring up? And you don't have to. It's okay if you don't have anything. I just want to make sure to put the opening out there in case I missed something.
Well, I'll always add something, because I just
that's okay. I love it. I love it.
And so I don't know, maybe what I'm going to say, I don't know if it's politically correct or not, but it's something I'm very passionate about, and something that I'm seeing on a very consistent basis. And I think, for anybody listening out there, most people are, including those listeners, everyone's trying to do the right thing for themselves and trying to support themselves in their health. But what I find is we've moved into this place, into society, where we want to be able to do everything and still be healthy. We want to be able to eat everything that's on the shelf, and drink as much alcohol as the next person, and do all of these things and not have consequences. Yeah. And what I really advocate for in my practice is, don't be a victim. Choose to be empowered. Choose to learn. Find a practitioner that you can partner with, so that you can take your health into your own hands. But know that you're not probably going to be able to imbibe in everything that the free market for-profit society puts out there and not have some consequences. And trying to find a way to do that is probably not the best way to support your health. Mm-hmm. So I want everyone to take advantage of the opportunity to be empowered. We all probably have somebody we go see to get our hair done once a month or once every 6 to 8 weeks. We all have, different people that we have in our circle that support, a massage therapist, a chiropractor, a whatever. Why not a nutrition therapy practitioner that can partner with you and be a part of your health journey? It doesn't have to be because you have a pain point and you found something that you're almost beyond the point of no return for, to then engage with somebody and get your health supported. What if you worked with somebody on a regular basis to just say, hey, yeah, I'm going to run that by my person, because she's got my back and she knows me, and she knows me individually and bio-individually, and she knows how I can support myself. I just think there's this opportunity for those of us that do this work to be a partner with people through their journey, versus just another practitioner on the stop or on the way through multiple practitioners. I'd love to see our field get to that point and see people utilize this field in that way.
I love that. I love that. You've got a nail person, a hair person, whatever. I think it's great. I love that. Kelly, how about you? Any last closing thoughts?
I wasn't going to say anything, but I feel like, again, what Kristen was mentioning is so brilliant. And the thing is, we're just so lagging behind in our ability to recognize the importance of it. In Europe, it is just what they do. Nutritional supplementation is recommended regularly and oftentimes before prescription medication. Nutrition plays an enormous role over there. So does other, modalities like acupuncture and massage. And so I think that we can use all of the brilliant minds that we can to help that become part of the way that we form our healthcare system.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. I love it. Thank you. All right. Well, how can people find the both of you outside of NTI? How can people find out more about you or find you on whatever your website is or social media, whatever site is? Kristen?
Well, I'll always be on the NTI alumni list, right? You guys have that posted there, but my business name is Nourishing Transformations. And so I've got a website, nourishingtransformations.com. That's probably an easy way to find me. And the other way I really like people to find me is through the other podcast that I co-host. And that's for the National Association of Nutrition Professionals, which is just a great organization out there supporting all of us trying to do this work. And this year we've pivoted to a podcast that is more of a wellness podcast for holistic minded enthusiasts out there. So we just did a great one on stress resilience, which I'm actually using with my clients right now, saying, I need you to listen to this because I love for people to hear what I'm trying to share with them from other perspectives and other experts in the field. And so I think that's a great resource for people. So I love for individuals to find that and become connected with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a strong alignment with the NANP here at NTI. So love to support everything that they do as well, because they help support us in turn. So Kelly, how about you? How do people find out about you or get in touch with you?
Just nourishedwellnessnutrition.com. And I also have you can search Kelly Hatke on Instagram as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, both of you. It's been a fabulous conversation and I've loved talking to you. And thank you so much for being instructors here. You are both wise, intelligent women, and you bring so much to your teaching and bring so much value to your students. And I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, Dianne.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yep. All righty. Bye-bye.